I've been living by the smallmouth. You live by him and you die by him.
Nope.
That's gonna be a smallie.
It's a nice fish, but he ain't gonna kill. Big one. I don't know if that one's gonna keep either.
I got one.
Oh! It's a heart-stopping, emotional roller coaster for some of the best names in the sport of bass fishing, and you won't believe how it all ends.
Oh, it's a big one, dude. Giant. Oh my gosh! Dang it!
And there it is, certainly one of the most scenic lakes here in Kentucky, and the site of stop number 4 for the 2017 FLW Tour here at Lake Cumberland, presented by TH Marine. Welcome everybody, I'm Travis Moran, alongside 3-time Angler of the Year and FLW all-time money leader at $3.4 million, David Dudley. David, let's break down this lake.
Yeah, this lake is a huge lake. It's 1,255 miles of shoreline. It's 101 miles long. So to break down this lake in 3 days of practice has been a task in itself. There's no way that anglers could look at the whole lake, but the anglers that have chosen to go towards the lower end where the smallmouth are at have been the right choice.
And along with all that shoreline is tons of cover, tons of great looking fishing spots. David, this is one of those lakes that every inch of that lake looks like it's fishable.
Yeah, when I first hit this lake, everything looked fishable, but basically, if you look at this lake and really concentrate on what you're looking at, you're gonna have pea gravel section, you're gonna have table rock sections, you're gonna have chunk rock sections. And the guys who can figure out the pattern within the pattern, they're gonna be able to figure out the key areas that they're holding on, because the whole lake is rock, but you got to figure out where they're holding on each particular rock.
Because of that water being down here for several years, it allowed a lot of these little sycamore trees to grow up in the lake. So there's a lot of abundant cover now from a couple feet of water all the way out to 20 feet. So you've got all these trees, all this deep water, channel swings, coves, and there's a million coves and points on this lake. So it's just endless the amount of cover that's here to fish.
Many different factors playing a key in this tournament. First is the slot limits. We've got a 12-inch limit on spotted bass, a 15-inch limit on largemouth, and then an 18-inch limit on the smallmouth. So going back to your key where these guys are focusing on that south part of the lake, that's gonna be where some of those bigger smallmouth are going, and that's where Scott Martin, Clark Winlet, Brian Thrift are all having some success finding some bigger fish.
Yeah, the smallmouth have been a major player this week. The guys who are coming in with 3 to 4, and even some guys have even managed to catch a whole limit of smallmouth. The largemouth have played a role. You know, this week there's been some kickers come in that are around the 6-pound range, which is going to carry your weight a lot further than the smallmouth will. But the consistency of the smallmouth and maybe filling your limit in with a few spots has been the #1 key.
And that brings us into the General Tire Roadmap to Victory. David, break it down for us.
Basically, I think there's 3 key points in this tournament. #1 is going to be smallmouth. The guy who can consistently come in with those limits of smallmouth or fill his limit mostly with smallmouth are going to be on top. And the guy who can adjust on the fly. We've had 2 days of wind and rain, and the next few days are going to be totally different curveball. So the guy who can adjust on the fly, which means they might be moving up to spawn, fish are going to be moving, so they got to keep up with where they're at, and time management. When you've got a lake that's 101 miles long, time is of the essence. So if you elect to go towards the dam, that's some major time that's going to be eat up in their 8-hour day. With an 8-hour day, you need all you can do to get those limits of smallmouth or just keepers in general. And if they can figure out how to manage their time, they'll be successful.
Lake Cumberland's a deep, clear reservoir, all natural banks. There's not any development on the lake at all. So to me, everything looks the same. I've burnt 300 gallons of gas this week trying to find something that looks different and looks good to me. Nothing, it all looks the same.
As we begin day 3, David, let's take a quick look at the leaderboard. Clark Winlet sitting in that #1 spot. What do you think about his style?
Clark Winlet, what can you say? 3-time Angler of the Year, veteran, been out here forever. you know he's one of the best at adjusting on the fly. He's going to find out where they move to each day.
We're going to have sun today, probably no wind. We've had really windy conditions, so it may be some adjustments. I don't really know, but I can't wait to get out there and let's go see what happens.
Sitting in second is Casey Scanlon. You know, this guy has a lot of experience on deep, clear lakes. He's won in the past at Table Rock, and he's feeling in his comfort zone right now.
Number 3, Cody Bird, really honing into that sight fishing, really trying to catch those bed fish. And then number 4, Brian Thrift. Absolutely dominating season, dominating since back last year. So really a guy to watch. And then Mr. Showtime himself, Scott Martin at the number 5 spot.
I'm literally gonna go fish places today where there's no boat trails on my screen. And I'm just gonna go to the section of the lake that I like and just go into every creek that I haven't been into yet and fish what's there. And that's just pretty cool stuff.
When he's at the top, he's always going to be in contention for a win. So him sitting in 5th right now, good spot to be sitting in, and I look for him to make it to the top.
And then moving down to our cut line, Terry Bolton, longtime FLW pro, and from Kentucky. He's fished a lot of tournaments on this lake. He's sitting in a good position right now.
It's been kind of a grind. You just got to keep going and going and going. And, you know, hopefully I'll run up on a pod of those big ones, you know, and then I'll be able to make a run at this.
Everybody in the top 20 today is going to have to figure out things on the fly. First 2 days have been wind, rain. Today, slick, bluebird skies. Adjusting on the fly is going to be the major key for today to make it to the top 10.
Let's go get him.
We're down here on the lower end of the lake, and I'm in a big creek arm, and we're just bouncing around some of these side pockets off of this creek arm. And you know, we're throwing a Lucky Strike jerkbait. I got it weighted a little bit. We got water temps in the 50s, and you know, usually you just speed up your retrieve, and in this clear water, you know, try not to let them get too good of a look at it and just get a reaction bite. So there's a lot of dead water here, surprisingly. But when you get around them, there's a lot of fish. So what I would do is I'd run in and out of these places and just sample them for a brief period of time to see if I could get a bite or two. And when I did get a bite, I'd expand on the area. There he is. I don't think he's gonna make the team, but he might. We're gonna put him on the board. These spots only gotta be 12 inches. The cool thing about this area is there's, you know, all 3 species, so, you know, you don't have to gamble hunting on 18-inch smallmouth all day, because those are hard to come by. Our first keeper, a real Lake Cumberland giant right here. So we're gonna get rid of him later on, but we're gonna put him in the live well for a little bit of comfort for now.
This lake, you can find anything you want. If you're a muddy water fisherman, you can go to mud. If you're a clear water fisherman, you can go to clear. And anything in between. That's a great thing about having a lake that's 101 miles long. You can find any color water you want. But smallmouth typically are going to be in the clear water, you know, section of the lake. And that's where you're going to see most of the top 20 at today.
The problem with the smallmouth, it's got a ton of smallmouth in it, but the problem with them is you got to be over 18 inches. A 17.5-inch smallmouth here, as fat as they are, is a 3-pound fish, maybe 3 1/4. So you're throwing back a 3-pounder when you catch a 17-incher. And I mean, that's tough to do. I really felt like going in, if I could just weigh in a limit of smallmouth a day, I'm talking about squeakers, just barely measure, 18-inch fish that, you know, I'd win the tournament. I don't think he's gonna make it. Good fish though. $18, he'll make it. That's one.
This lake here, you got to fish the conditions. So we'll see what the conditions bring us today with the wind and the temperature. Probably the coldest morning, and the water temperature's dropped another couple degrees. And so anytime you have falling water temperatures, it's gonna slow those fish down a little bit. It's gonna make them not as aggressive. So, you know, I'm working this jerkbait at a decent little pace, because the smallmouth, they like a lot of erratic action, even though it's cold. Now, when I go largemouth fishing, get back in the back of these creeks, I'm gonna fish this jerkbait a lot slower, because with that water temperature falling, it's probably going to be better to slow this thing down a little bit, pause it around some of these trees. There's one. Big smallmouth. Yes! Woo, boys! Yes! I said it was a good spot, didn't I? Look at that tank. Look at that tank. Ooh, that's a big one. That's a big one. Oh, yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir. Look at that smallmouth, boys. Right there. Wow. That is a good one. No need to measure him. Look at that. Look at that. Lake Cumberland, FLW, day 3. This is the way to start, my friend. Right there. Get 4 more bites like this. We're going to make it interesting.
The FLW Tour is brought to you by General Tire. Anywhere is possible. BRP Evinrude. Learn more at evinrude.com. You can get more from your oil with Quaker State. Costa Del Mar. See what's out there. Ranger Boats. Still building legends, one at a time. And by Power Pole. Swift, silent, secure.
It's a nice fish, but he doesn't make it. 17 and a half. Welcome back to our FLW Tour coverage on Lake Cumberland. You're looking at this leaderboard, really no limits caught yet, so this could really jumble up a little bit more as more guys start putting that puzzle piece together.
The leaderboard right now is slow. So a lot of these guys, they're probably starting to say, okay, I need to change up a little bit. I need to quit what I'm doing. And possibly by the end of the day, you're going to see a lot more fish catches as things go on.
Man, there ought to be some up here right now with this water dirty like this. I thought that sun might mess with them a little bit, but one big one. Last time I was here, I knew where they spawn mostly, so I just went to those areas where I knew had fish in them, but knowing that it's probably gonna be one with them smallmouth, a mixed bag maybe, I went for smallmouth the whole time, and I just gambled to catch 5 every day. Big one. I say big one, it might look like a keeper. I don't know if that one's gonna keep either, it might. It's gonna be a line burner if it's a keeper. No, it ain't gonna make it. Another 17 and an 1/8.
It's been an interesting tournament. A lot of guys having to throw back huge smallmouth bass that just are right underneath that slot limit.
Smallmouth fishing is a gamble. If you're not on the right bait, on the right area of the lake, you can get caught up in catching lots of smallmouth, but no keepers.
Now let's go back to Brian Thrips. He's his current standings, first place in that Angler of the Year race, 774 points out of a total 800.
He's getting to the point where he could probably skip the next 3 tournaments and still make the championship. What a phenomenal angler. He just knows how to catch anything from smallmouth, spotted bass, largemouth. He just understands the dynamics of any fish that's put in front of him. He studies it and he works hard. Brian Thrift is on the water practicing when he's not in a tournament. So seeing him #1 in the world, seeing him at the top of the leaderboard every time, it's no surprise. He's a hard worker, studies the game, and it pays off for him.
Casey Scanlon, his day looks like it's picking up. His first fish of the day was about a 1-pounder, his second a 2. He's definitely moving in the right direction with that trend.
He's actually predominantly largemouth.
Some of these bass have been doing that. They'll get up and suspend in these trees, and you see that a lot when they're getting ready to spawn. There's some for sure water coming in back here. That's been key, I think, too. These creeks that have water coming into them. In fact, they're the only places I found fish on this lake. There's tons of pockets. They all look the same.
Ugh. Look how close that fish hit.
Here we talk about smallmouth being one of the major players, and now, you know, breaking the mold.
Dude, I just watched him come up and grab that. That was sweet.
Interesting choice of bait.
We just gotta hit all this new stuff in here.
Clear water, double painted blades, chartreuse. You know, that goes against what I would think.
These fish are gonna be changing. They've been changing every single day. I've had to adjust where I'm targeting these fish in these creeks. I'm noticing them moving farther back. Today, I noticed a lot more fish in the back of the drains or in the last bit of cover before the back of the drain. And yesterday, those fish weren't there. They were on the main stretches, they were on the main bluff walls because the water was still cold. But as it's warming up, those fish are gravitating to the back. Full moons in a couple days, those fish are getting ready to spawn, and they might even do it tomorrow. Oh, it's a big one, dude. A big one. Giant. I mean, no, giant. Oh my gosh, you pulled off. Dude, that was the biggest thing I've hooked this week. I'm not kidding. Giant.
When Scott says it's a big one, it's a big one. He doesn't big eye very often, and when he said that was big, I can only imagine it had to been in the upwards of 5 to 6 pounds. But Scott's a veteran. He's going to sting him for a little while, but I think that sting's going to leave him pretty quick.
Giant.
We talk about how important every fish is in this event right now, and the bite's getting tougher for these anglers. It is crucial.
The smallmouth, I mean, that's just a fickle bite, and you know, I think that's the fish you need to win, but it's just a hard bite to get. Mainly it's because those fish got to be 18 inches.
I mean, that is a fat, healthy smallmouth right now, but this has been a big player in this game, is that he's got to measure this fish now. I mean, that is a beautiful, healthy fish, but he's got to put that on the board and figure out if that actually can go to the scales with him today.
You know his eyes are in his prayers right now. Please be long enough, please be long enough, please be long enough.
Nope. That's the trouble right there. 17 inch, 3 1/4. You gotta throw him back.
Throwing back big smallmouth that don't make that 18-inch limit is a heartbreak for a lot of these anglers so far.
And it's also a strategy that could put you well into the top 10 or could make you fall out of the top 10. It's a gamble.
See if that high stakes gambling pays off here right after this break.
Well, there's a keeper spot. They're not the size we need, but you know, every pound counts.
That's a spotted bass. We can weigh him in. He ain't got to be 18 inches.
He got a long tail. I'm gonna keep him.
Welcome back to our continued coverage on Lake Cumberland. And David, we've really seen some things unfold today. With these calm, clear skies, a lot of our anglers have moved shallow and are looking for bedfish or these fish that have really moved up shallow.
The eyes are going to play a role today, no doubt, with the winds being calm, being able to see down deep inside the water. A lot of anglers are going to ease up there and start looking around. We got trees blooming. It's that time of year. The fish are getting up there. They're ready to spawn. They're ready to drop their eggs. And I believe by the end of this tournament, sight fishing is probably going to play a major role.
It's just patience, you know, and it's easy to get rattled out here. But that's the great thing when you're running a pattern like this. Literally, it's a pattern. Pattern, what is a pattern? Pattern is where I'm duplicating the same type cover all over the lake. So you have unlimited spots. So it's not like I'm fishing one spot and going, man, I hope they hold up. I hope that I haven't caught them all. I just go somewhere else. And so it makes it fun. You can get in a groove. When you get in a groove, you're dangerous. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Hopefully it's a keeper. He looks pretty long. I think he's a good one, actually. I think he's 19. Oh yeah, baby. I'm on the board. That's a good one right there, boys. I love this lake. I hope we come back. Lake Cumberland's the bomb.
Is that jerkbait playing a role or what?
His little adjustments that he's making may be what carries him through today.
Here we go, back with Cody Bird.
Cody started the day in third, has dropped down unofficially to the 11th place slot, only has one fish in the live well. He's really locked on fishing for those bedfish right now. He's talked about he can't see them, but he knows he's in an area where there's a lot of bedfish, so it's all about him just really moving slow.
I was afraid I was running out of them. I'd caught a lot of big ones, you know. That's a lot of big smallmouth, 11 over 18 inches. That's a bunch of big ones, and I was concerned about running out, and I had a little local help in there today. They've been watching me. They had a tournament going out there, so that's really all I had for big ones. I would leave there for 30 minutes and go fish a couple of other areas, and I'd catch them 16, 17 inches. Wouldn't do me any good, so I'd go back there. There's one. That's a good one. That's a big one right there. Don't get off. That gum reel. That's one I hadn't already lost. Come here. We don't have to measure that one. That's the right kind. I just need a few more. If them other two 17 inchers would have been keepers, I'd be doing okay.
I really started out today throwing a jerkbait, and you know, I felt like that's what I've caught the majority of my fish up till now on the first two qualifying days. And then today I caught a couple on it, and actually caught three. And I had three nice fish, but I was struggling. I mean, I really was. It was, say 11, maybe even 12 o'clock. I only got three, and I've had a limit by 10 o'clock every day. And so, the high skies got me concerned. I'm wondering if I should change, and I pick up a crankbait and get on a bank, and I just start catching them. The thing about it is that I haven't been catching them spawning. I mean, there may be a few of the fish I'm catching that are actually spawning, but I think the majority of them are pre-spawning really close to spawning. And so, because when they spawn, I think it's going to be harder to catch them on moving baits. I'm throwing stuff that's moving fast, trying to get a reaction bite, and I think I can catch them again tomorrow. I just feel like I can. I've caught them every day, and it just, it feels good right now. I'm letting that joker in.
And as we come to an end for day 3, we're going to throw it over to Chris Jones, our weighmaster, to see who makes the cut to fish day 4.
Let's go.
The best of the best from round 1 fishing today. Wow! Man, they've caught the fish. 5 for Cody Meyer. 13 pounds, 4 ounces, 14 pounds, 3 ounces, Scott Canterbury. 14 pounds, 9 ounces, the man, Barry Wilson.
It wasn't until like 2 o'clock until I started catching them, and then it was just lights out.
Terry Boat, 14 pounds, 15 ounces, a limit of bass for Scott Martin Worth. 14 pounds, 14 ounces, you got the lead.
I think these fish are going to change a little bit more tomorrow. I think they're going to have really bite. With this water warming up, I think some fish are going to probably be caught off beds tomorrow as well.
A 5 bass limit for Clark Windland. 14 pounds, 10 ounces, you got the lead back.
The smallmouth for me if you catch a keeper, it's 3.5 pounder. I mean, when you can weigh in a 3.5 pounder, that's pretty awesome. But the only bad thing is we're throwing a lot of 3 pounders back, and that's fun. We're catching a lot of fish. It's a cool lake, and I just enjoy being here. This is fun.
Your leader is Clark Windland. That's your top 10 that'll fish another day. The weights are close. It'll be a shootout for that 6-figure payday tomorrow. The great top 10.
Day 3 saw one angler make the top 10 cut all the way from 20th place. Matt Reed is our Evinrude big mover as he crushed over 14 pounds and powered his way up to 9th place.
Final day I'm in the lead. Guys can catch 17, 18 pounds. I got a 3-pound lead, but they catch that pretty easy. So I got to go catch them again. And, smallmouth have been good to me all week. That's what I'm going to try to target today.
The fish that I'm on doesn't turn on till about noon. We're supposed to be about 10, 12 degrees warmer than it was yesterday.
So hopefully my window of opportunity will be a little bit broadened.
Every single person in this top 10 has a chance to win this tournament. So I've got to fish with an amazing focus. I've got to pay attention to every little thing that I can and hopefully see those right spots, just like I have the last 3 days.
Welcome back, everyone, to our coverage of our 4th stop on the FLW Tour at Lake Cumberland. And it is the 4th day, the final day. It's payday, David, here, and somebody's going to be taking home up to $125,000. And we've got a battle between two species right now. We've got the smallmouth that everyone predicted. That's what people are going to have to target to win this thing. But then on the other hand, we have this largemouth situation coming into effect. We've got a lot of anglers that have been targeting those largemouth that have been hanging around and are still here in our top 10.
Dealing with largemouth, you're always going to have a chance of catching that 5, 6, 7 pounder in this lake that's going to take you to the top. And here we got Scott Martin, Clark Wendlandt, two of the most dominating fishermen on tour, targeting the smallmouth. And I know the first 2 days was a lot of wind, rain, rough conditions, which gets them snapping. The last 2 days have been calm. We've seen the smallmouth drop off in numbers. So I got to put my weight on the largemouth are coming in more of a play than I thought they would.
Absolutely, and we've got Terry Bolton and Barry Wilson. They've made it very clear they're going to stay through this largemouth fight all the way through the rest of this day. And we're going to find out real quick here because day 4 action starts right now.
You know, when you're fishing for smallmouth, to me, you've got to tap into their aggressive nature. They're a fish that they're kind of wild. They don't act like largemouth at all. They move fast and they feed by sight a lot. Fish. After 3 days of this tournament, I'm leading by 3 pounds, 12 ounces, and smallmouth are really kind of what got me there. And I just pretty much committed to fish for smallmouth. I had some spotted bass and largemouth to catch also, weighed in a largemouth or two every day, but I just felt like if you could catch smallmouth, you could win the tournament. If you can catch enough of those, you can catch some 18 inchers. 17.
Not a smallmouth.
No.
But not a keeper, unfortunately, in this tournament.
But good, though. It's a good sign. I don't care if it's a non-keeper, keeper. It doesn't matter. The key is that there's that window when they're going to start cranking up.
And we're joining Terry Bolton. He's been throwing a spinnerbait all week. He's been keeping all his fish have come on a blade. His direct quote was, "I'm going to dance with the one that got me here."
Right now I'm practicing. I have not fished any this week or in practice, so seems like every day I've had to practice back in this creek just to find a new stretch of water to kind of keep having something fresh that I haven't beat up on.
I was throwing a 3/4 ounce chartreuse and white accent spinnerbait, and I was slow rolling it on these little channel swings. If you went in a pocket, they'd be on the deepest side, and generally they'd be up around some type of wood, but not always. Sometimes they'd just be on that rock, staging, waiting to come in to spawn. And even out on the main part of the creek, I'd fish those channel swings and those standing trees out there in anywhere from 2 or 3 foot of water all the way out to 10 or 12 foot of water.
Hey, I think we got one. Just go fish where you hadn't fished already. That seems to work. Yeah, that's a keeper. I know it is. They're actually decent fish. I feel better. Now we're practicing.
My main area that I'm going to is a channel swing in the very back of a creek. It's White Oak Creek is the name of the creek, and it's as very back as you can possibly go. Stained water, and it kind of reminded me of a lake back home, and that's what I do in January and February down in South Alabama, is go back in the backs of creeks and throw a square bill. It's a perfect pre-spawn staging point for big fish to move up and sit there, and actually they were sitting in that grassy, leafy stuff, and then when they get ready to go spawn, then they ease on back on the flat and spawn. So I didn't really have anything else during the tournament, so this is what I'm going to.
Travis, we've seen Terry and Barry absolutely smoke the largemouth early. That's a scary thing being day 4.
David, things really seem to be heating up. But first, we got to take a quick break. But more FLW coverage from the 2017 tour here at Lake Cumberland, presented by TH Marine, right after this.
Largemouth.
Got one. Just not a bad one.
17. Good one, though.
Oh, no.
Not real big, but he does help us.
I think he'll go. Oh yeah, right there. Still on the spinner bait.
Welcome back to our Day 4 coverage of the FLW Tour here at Lake Cumberland. You know what? The largemouth bite's been hot early, but now let's take a look at Scott Martin, who started the day in second and has been really targeting predominantly smallmouth up until now.
Yeah, but his choice on day 4 has been to start out trying to get a limit of spotted bass. Number 1, it's going to calm his nerves down. 2, he knows as tournaments progress in a 4-day tournament, weights are going to drop. So he knows that if he can just secure a limit, get some filler quality spotted bass, would give him a chance to win on day 4.
I just got to be smart today and be thinking and be confident and be patient. What I was looking for was rock transition banks with bushes in creeks off the main river that had lots of little ins and outs and turns, almost like a clover leaf or like what you would imagine a piece of broccoli looking like, with a whole bunch of little arms and fingers, because that provided me an opportunity to have a lot of points to fish, a lot of straight banks to fish, and a lot of back end pockets to fish. And again, I was targeting all 3 species, smallmouth, spotted bass, and largemouth. And in those type creeks, that allowed me to not waste a lot of time running around, keeping the trolling motor down, and literally working my way in smallmouth water, spotted bass water, or largemouth water. Oh, there's 2 of them. Oh my gosh! Dang it!
No. It looked like the fish hit the net with the lure and ripped it right out of his mouth.
And I've made some mistakes before fishing, man. That was a bad one. All these tournaments are always won by one key decision, one key fish, usually by ounces. And it's moments like that can cost you a lot of money.
The hooks just happen to catch the outside of the net, and bye-bye.
That's tough.
The sun with the heat, the shed, they're feeling that heat and it's bringing them to the top, and you know, they're schooling, they're not spawning, it's not a shad spawn. These bass are here, and I'm sure at some point in time they're actually feeding on them during the day. But it always helps. You know, you always hear if you got bait here, you're gonna have fish here. As the sun came up and started getting blue skies, I started thinking to myself, you know, these largemouth should turn on even better, and the smallmouth ought to start dwindling a little bit, because they really like that nasty dark cloud and rainy weather. And so that's the reason why I opted not to really go on after smallmouth, because my take on them is they don't like the sun, so they'll go a little bit deeper and they just kind of get solitary. So, you know, I opted to go toward the largemouth because they typically like to move around when you got some sun and it's warming up and the spawn's coming on. So, you know, they're gonna get active. They're gonna feed up, get ready for that spawn. Get in there. I'm out of breath. Number five. Look at that. One hook had it.
And we're joining our unofficial leader right now. Terry Bolton already has his limit.
We talk about making adjustments. Terry started the tournament with 2 rods on his deck. Now he's done increased to 3 rods on his deck. So here we've seen him break out a flipping stick.
You know, it's really dead flat calm right now. And of course that makes my spinnerbait bite a little tougher. And I decided to come in here and get back in this creek and flip a little bit just to see.
I say that's a good job, Terry. You always want to keep an open mind. You don't ever want to get too locked in on certain things, especially when things are changing as rapidly as they are right now.
With how many largemouth have already been caught today, it looks like things might just keep heating up for the guys targeting these largemouth.
That one there helps.
Big story of the day is Clark Winlet. Still has no fish in the live well right now.
I don't care that he doesn't have any fish. It's Clark Winlet. He's 3-time Angler of the Year. He knows how to make the right adjustment. He's proven it time and time again.
It's pretty much decision time for me. I got to either decide to do what I've been doing or go way down the lake. And I don't even know which one I'm going to go with.
And we're going to find out if he makes these adjustments when we come back from our break with more action from the 4th stop on the FLW Tour here at Lake Cumberland.
The FLW Tour is brought to you by celebrating 60 years of fish finding excellence, Lowrance. GoPro, this is your life. Be a hero. The world leader in off-road innovation, Polaris Off-Road Vehicles. Yeti, built for the wild. And by TH Marine, from transom to trolling motor.
There we go. That one hammered it. Good one.
2 of them come out of there. Don't think you long enough.
There's one.
Yeah, that one's bigger.
There he is. It's a big one too. Oh, I don't deserve to catch fish like this.
Yeah, I just feel like I gotta go. I'm just not catching anything and gotta go. Welcome back to our continued coverage here at Lake Cumberland. And David, things are really starting to unravel in front of us right now. We're seeing a lot of movement on that leaderboard.
Unofficially, Barry Wilson in first place.
Yep, and then Scott Martin in that second place.
And Terry Bolton sitting in third. Matt Reed, come on guys, he could bust a 5-6 pounder. He's in the lead. The water is warming up. Things are gonna change and it's gonna get interesting.
Another one that's gonna be short, dude. Isn't that something? I haven't had a very good day. I just had to do something different, you know? I mean, I was getting a lot of looks, a lot of follows, but you know, everyone I've been catching's been, you know, a smallmouth that's too short or a largemouth that's too short. But it's been a tough day. I've made adjustments bait-wise, you know, done everything I can think of to try to switch it up, and it just hadn't worked. The clock is ticking, we're winding down, and I need a couple bites here, so I came over to this wind-blown side. I mean, I'm just hoping I can catch a couple active fish that are up here in the wind feeding. But it's raking pretty good through here. I mean, we should, you know, get a bite or something.
We're gonna go on Terry Bolton's boat, currently unofficially in third place, throwing that spinnerbait. He talked about yesterday, the spinnerbait has gotten him to this final day, so he's not about to ditch her for something else. He's gonna go the full distance on this thing, throwing that blade.
He has let that spinnerbait take him to where he's at, and the importance of that wind, guys, is this. When you have a ripple in the water and light can't penetrate down deep, they can't get a good look at the bait.
Right at the end of the day yesterday, I pulled up on a channel swing a little further back in the creek that I had not fished in practice or any day of the tournament, and I culled out a lot of the fish I had yesterday, and I looked across the creek and I saw another swing, and I said, you know what, I'm saving that one for today, and that's where I caught my first limit this morning. I didn't fish it yesterday, I saved it for today. You know, that was what got me here, was I actually had a little water each day that I could keep practicing. And I ran back through some of the old water, and I did manage to cull up this afternoon on some of it, but it got pretty tough because a lot of those fish have been caught and pulled off. That one there helps. Whew. That one there helps, I do believe. That one there's a pre-spawner. Nice fat. And they're all pretty good ones now, you know. Now if I can just find a 4-pounder. Me and everybody else in the tournament's looking for that right now, aren't they?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh! Dude! Dude, it was a giant, dude. Dude, he just doubled the rod over like I was stuck on a tree. That's not good. We have 5 minutes. If I lose this tournament by like a pound, man, between the one I knocked off in the net and that one, not good. It's a big one, dude. Yeah! That's a call right there, boys. Bam! Boom! I like it, dude. It's fishing to the last minute. Win, lose, or draw, that's how you have to win these things. We gotta go. big one, dude. It's a big one.
There's
You know, going in today, I was third place. And, you know, this whole tournament's been nerve-wracking because of my bites being so late. And, you know, having the patience to stay in there and stick it out. And today, you know, I knew I needed probably a pretty good bag because Clark was leading it, and he's been catching good fish. So I knew I needed to, you know, have some bigger fish, those 5-pounders and 4-pounders that I've been catching.
Yes. Thank you, Lord. That'll help the cause. Look at it. I got 2 minutes. I gotta go.
You know, the thing about smallmouth is they can be really fickle. I mean, sometimes you're thinking you're gonna go just wreck them and you don't catch any. Sometimes you don't even think you're gonna get a smallmouth bite and you start catching them.
It ain't gonna matter.
For me, I caught them consistently 3 straight days, had 50 pounds of smallmouth, couple largemouth in there.
All right. That was what you call a failure of a day.
You know, it could be the guy that goes all largemouth that wins the tournament. The time is up for our anglers, and I want to thank David Dudley for being on the show with us today. It's been a game of decisions.
Yes, in my opinion, Barry Wilson and Scott Martin have made the 2 most critical decisions. Should I stay with largemouth or should I stay with smallmouth? And right now, I'm excited. I'm ready to see how this is going to shape out.
Absolutely, and we're going to find out the results right now because we're going to head over to Chris Jones for the final weigh-in.
Somerset, Kentucky. Here we are, baby. General Burnside State Park.
Lake Cumberland is a fantastic, I mean, I've said it all week, it's a great tournament venue because you got all 3 species of bass and it's gigantic, and we like big places.
Let's see number 10. Anthony Gagliardi. 48 pounds and 14 ounces of 5 bass limits. 5 today for Chris McCall. One of the best in the game today. 12 pounds even. You missed the lead by 8 ounces. 12 pounds and 6 ounces. You got the lead. Barry Wilson. 5 today. A 5 bass limits for Barry Wilson. 13 pounds, 2 ounces. You got the lead.
Yes! Boom!
Scott Martin. Wow! 3 and 4, 2 good ones. To dethrone Barry Wilson, the Evinrude Pro, you need 12 pounds and 1 ounce. So you need number 5. 5 today for Scott Martin. Wow! 13 pounds, 12 ounces. He's your new leader. From Leander, Texas, Clark Wendlandt. It's the only pro that had the 50-pound mark after 3 days of competition here at Lake Cumberland. So what you got, Clark?
I'll tell you what, some days just go that way. I had a great tournament. I fished for smallmouth all week, and those smallmouth can be fickle, though. And, you know, I didn't catch a bass today, though. Scott Martin.
Your champion is Scott Martin. Wow! $125,000 richer is the Florida Pro, Scott Martin. He wins his 7th FLW Tour event.
I'll tell you what, again, I just can't thank you guys enough for all the support, all the prayers. My mom, my sister, all are at home praying, my wife's praying, my family. And again, I fished with a purpose this week to try to do something special for my wife. This is for you, honey, and hope to see you real soon.
His 7th tour level win. Scott Martin getting it done. Stop number 4 is in the books from Somerset, Kentucky. Lake Cumberland, fishing strong these days, man.